afternoon and welcome back to Questioning Sense with me, Matt. So yeah, this is an afternoon. I've come in from work, had a good morning, and we're going to do a review today that's going to be a bit of a tricky one for me to do for a couple of reasons. So firstly, I love France. I visit France on a regular basis. I have family that live there, French family, but my grasp of the language is forever frustrating me. I'm absolutely terrible at it. My pronunciation's awful.
Does your dig that?
And I just cannot seem to get a grip on the language. So that's going to make some of this review a little bit tricky, so you'll have to bear with my horrific pronunciation. So apologies in advance. And secondly, I'm going to be reviewing or talking about a fragrance today that is something that a good friend of mine who's quite a stalwart of the fragrance community loves, but I just cannot get on with it. I appreciate it. I think it's a very clever fragrance, but it's a bit too much for me. And the fragrance we're going to talk about is from the house of Etat Libre d'Orange, or Etat Libre d'Orange, or Etat Libre d'Orange. And the fragrance is called Rien, Intense, Incense. Now, my friend very graciously sent me a sample to try because he thought I might like it and he'd quite like to hear my opinion on it. So here is my opinion on it. And this was a release from 2014. Now, the house of Etat Libre d'Orange has been around since 2006. They're an independent, or certainly a niche perfumer set up by a guy called Etienne de Swart. And he was sort of someone who's been in the fragrance industry for a long time and then kind of basically went on his own. They have, I think, 34, 35 fragrances within their range, and they're probably most famous for the, widely recognised as one of the most horrific fragrances out there, which is the infamous Secretions Magnifique, which is something I've never smelled and probably never will, to be honest. It was amusingly described on Fragrantica as the odour of two zombies making love in a sink full of dirty washing. So that kind of put me off. So I'm not interested in that one. Anyway, let's get back to this one, which is Rien Intense Incense. There is a Rien Intense, which I've not tried. So I am kind of, I was kind of going in blind with this one. But it came highly recommended. So, let's have a look at it. This is one of the few occasions where I'm not actually wearing the fragrance. I have sprayed it on one wrist a little earlier, and what we'll do is we'll give it a spray on the other hand as well. There is a reason why I'm not wearing it, and that's because it's not really my thing. So let's have a look at the notes, and then we'll talk a bit more about the fragrance itself. So the notes are incense, rose, leather, orris, cistus, oak moss, patchouli, amber, cumin, black pepper and aldehydes. Now, this is, first and foremost, performance on this is pretty good. The projection and sillage are probably on the better side of average, sort of slightly above moderate, I would say. It's quite loud in the beginning, but the actual longevity of the fragrance, it goes on forever. It really, really does last. So that's why I'm not wearing it, because it stays with you an awful long time. I've tried it. I mean, this is my third wearing, so I do know a little bit about what I'm talking about. The thing is with it, it's such a unique smell. There's incense and there's rose, and for me the dominant notes are the leather and the incense, and they kind of hit you straight away. The patchouli sits there, the oak moss is certainly there. The cumin, cumin's quite a strong note, but you don't tend to, I tend to notice cumin quite well, but with this you don't. It gets covered up. The problem I think with this is the overall composition of it. You've got a really strange leather. It's almost a bit like Tuscan leather, but if you could imagine like Tuscan leather if Tuscan leather was a synthetic leather that had been made by chemicals and robots, that's what it would smell like. It doesn't smell like a natural leather. The orris in it. Now, orris is an interesting thing because it's basically, orris is the root of the iris, and it smells nothing like iris. What it does do is it smells a little bit like Parma violet. Now, there's no violet in this. There's no violet listed, but the violet note is quite strong. Do you remember when Fahrenheit sort of came out? Fahrenheit had that slightly petrol-y kind of smell, which I think has kind of been sort of eked out of it over the years as it's been reformulated. The orris in this, combined with the incense and everything else, does give a very strong petrol-y vibe. So I've just sprayed this obviously, and this was sprayed a little earlier. They don't really seem to change that much. They just get more and more intense, which is pretty good with the name of it. The incense is there, but what you get is, this is such a strange, I'm a bit of a sci-fi fan, and this is what science fiction smells like to me. This is, I don't know if you've seen Star Wars, but I'm a child of the 70s, so I was obsessed with it. This is what Boba Fett smells like, basically. This is the scene in Empire Strikes Back when Han is being put into carbonite, when you've got this industrial background with steam and chemicals, and there's, like, you know, the leather-clad bounty hunter with steel and all that sort of thing. This is futuristic, it's space age. It's not, when you look at these notes, incense, rose, leather, orris, cistus, oak moss, patchouli, amber, cumin, black pepper, aldehydes, put them together, I would never for 1 minute think that you would get space. This is science fiction in a bottle. I mean, I have to applaud it. I certainly think it's a clever piece of perfumery. It's just, I can't wear it. The orris and this petrochemical sort of effect I'm getting from it makes it really, really nice for about half an hour, 40 minutes, and then it sort of smothers me, it chokes me out. It's too much. It's I can see why people would really like this. And if you can cope with that sort of Parma Violet chemical edge, because it's a symphony that needs to be smelt together for you to understand. It's very, very difficult to describe, because I've not smelt anything. The incense is there, and you would think, you know, I like incensey frags, and I like most fragrances that have an interpretation of incense. I get it, and I can appreciate it. This, because of that that chemical note, it just takes it changes it from being incense, and it makes it some kind of like space junk that's been compressed in a like a petrochemical plant. It's the most unnatural smelling collection of natural ingredients I've ever smelled, and I think the perfumer should be applauded for making such a composition, because it is certainly unique. You know, I can appreciate the beauty of the fragrance. I just can't wear it. So for me, I'm going to have to say I'm not going to take this one any further. But I've really enjoyed playing around with it and having a go of it, because it's so unique. It really is. It's a fabulous piece of work, but it's just not for me. So if you're interested in Rien Intense Incense, I strongly advise sampling it, or getting to one of the sort of perfume suppliers or stores that sell niche, that have a stock of the more interesting fragrances out there. I am really, really keen to go through some more of Etat Libre d'Orange's offerings and see what else they've got. The name in itself is quite interesting. Etat Libre d'Orange it was a state, or it may still be a state in South Africa, that claimed, you know, it declared itself independent from British rule back in the 1800s. So everything about the house kind of screams interesting, and some of the titles that they've released and some of the other perfumes on their market are also in their range are also really, really, you know, of interest to me. So I think I may order myself a sample set, or certainly get into somewhere that has them out for us to have a smell. And I really would like to try the original Rien Intense, but for me, Rien Intense Incense, clever bit of perfumery, interesting smell, just, it's not my kind of thing. So listen, I'm going to have to leave you now and go and jump in the shower. I'm going out for some drinks tonight with some friends. So once again, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. If you do get a chance to have a go at it, let us know how you get on, because I'd love to get some feedback from you guys to see what you think. And maybe, you know, is it just my nose that's incapable of coping with this? I don't know. As I say, my friend absolutely adores this. So, you know, and he knows what he's on about. So maybe it is me, I don't know. So please, you know, try and find it, have a sniff, and let us know what you think. And we'll see you on the next video. So once again, thank you very much for your time. Bye!